Every pattern has a seam allowance. That is the distance left from the seam to the edge of the fabric. On the machines, there are lines with metric allowances. Now, for us here in America, we are used to inches. So if you aren't familiar with metric, you might have a seam gauge handy where you can say, for example, mark it at 5/8 seam allowance, measure from the needle at the center position, and find that you are going to follow the 15 millimeter mark. Different seam allowances, such as 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, or even a full inch, will need to be measured so you know where to follow. Once you have it set, there is an optional seam guide that you can purchase for this machine. I'm going to rotate the machine slightly so you can see where this goes in. You'll notice in the back there is a white area with a hole, and you're just going to push the seam guide in and right up against the edge of your fabric. This is great because if you're ever working with somebody who's not used to sewing, this will help keep their lines of stitching going perfectly parallel to the edge of the fabric. And you can set it up so you're not watching the guide or lines as much, you just watch the guide. Now, if you find yourself not wanting to work with the metric, Husqvarna Viking has made stitch plates that have the inch markings on them and also have some diagonal 45-degree angles, which is kind of nice if you're quilting. You want to put a triangle or a square up there and you're sewing from corner to corner. That gets you started in the right place, but it's got all the markings that you need. One other thing that you can do is actually purchase a straight stitch throat plate. Now this would be only for center needle position with a straight stitch. That single hole is where the needle's going to go in and out. A little note about this is if you're doing free motion quilting, that's going to help stabilize that needle as you're moving the fabric side to side, back and forth, and really help you get a great stitch. If you're working on finer fabrics, you're going to find that having a smaller hole instead of the wider opening where the needle goes in and out is going to make sure that no fabric gets kind of pulled or dragged down into that area. You'll also notice that your inches and metric are on this stitch plate, so you have both at your convenience. Now, if you're going to use the straight stitch throat plate, you're going to need to go to your set menu. In this, touch the tools to get to the set menu, and then go ahead and turn on stitch width safety. With that little check mark box, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the set menu, touch the tool picture. You'll notice if I try to move the needle position, I will not be able to. The machine will instruct me that I can't. Or if I choose a decorative stitch that would have a zigzag or side-to-side motion, you're going to notice that all your stitches are going to just look like a straight stitch. So if you ever have that issue, you might go, oh yeah, that's right, because I have that feature on, and all you need to do is take the stitch width safety off, and then you'll be able to get back to any of the stitches you want to use.